If you clicked on this video, then you're probably watching it for one of two reasons. You're either someone who just wants to pass the Project Plus as a means to advance your career, or you're currently a WGU student who needs to pass this exam as a class requirement. Well, I was also a WGU student a couple of months ago and I needed to pass this class as a class requirement. The number one resource that helped me pass this exam on my first attempt was the Cybex book by Kim Heldman. This book really helped me tie in all of the information I needed to understand in order to pass the exam on my first attempt. Now bear in mind that as a WGU student, you have access to Pluralsight and Udemy. So you have access to the course from Casey Harris on Pluralsight as well as the course from Joseph Phillip on Udemy. As someone who loves to learn with video content and has passed most of my certifications using video courses, I, for the life of me, couldn't understand anything from any of these video courses, which is why I spent 2 weeks studying for this exam using the book. Now, my very first attempt, which was in December of 2021, I missed my scheduled time for the exam after I studied using the Pluralsight course by Casey Harris, so I didn't even have a chance to actually take the exam and see if I was confident enough to pass the exam. However, when I rescheduled for August of 2022, I was able to pass it using just the Cybex book. Once again, I learned the best using video content, but for this course and how it's designed and the content and information on there and how uninterested I was in the content, I really needed to read a book in order for me to understand, digest it, and pass it on my first attempt. It took me about 2 weeks to finish the Cybex book and go through all the practice exams after each chapter as well as at the end of the book. I really recommend going through all of the practice exams after each chapter, reviewing any concept that you don't understand or you failed, and then going on to the next chapter, doing the same thing until you're done with the book. And at the end of the book, there's also a full practice exam that I really recommend you go through. It has over 100 questions that will really help you solidify if you truly understand the content as well as what to expect on the exam on exam day. Trust me, I understand how boring the content is, especially if you're an IT student at WGU, but if you really want to get into the weeds of things and understand the content without going through all the video content that might be boring, definitely read the book, spend time reading the book, go through the practice exams, and I'm very confident that you'll be able to pass the exam on your very first attempt. If you really need to add any auxiliary resources, then definitely check out the course on Pluralsight by Casey Harris as well as the Udemy course from Joseph Phillips. Those are the two most highly rated courses by most WGU students who have passed the exam. But personally for me, the Cybex book did it. Finally, I scheduled this exam at a test center. Personally, I typically schedule all my exams to be done at home, but simply because of how much effort, mental effort, and time I put into this exam, I didn't want anything to stand in between me and passing this exam on my first attempt. So doing it at a testing center was the most optimal way for me to achieve this. So I really recommend doing this if you really want everything to go well, because if you take the exam at home and you have a bad connection or something goes wrong during your check-in, then it might be a little demoralizing and could contribute to you not passing this exam on your first attempt. Finally, make sure to really go over the content enough times for you to be able to understand what is going on and understand what the exam requires. CompTIA exams are typically tricky with the way they word the questions, but if you read the question multiple times and look at the answer multiple times, then you should be able to really deduce what the question is asking of you and what answer is the correct answer. Well, that's it for this video. If you want to learn more about my WGU experience and how I spent only 2 terms at WGU, check out the video to the left of the screen. If you want to learn more about how I spent only $10,000 and less than 3 years in college, then check out the video to the right of the screen. Thanks so much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.